they've gone 2-1, which is pretty respectable, but you're going up against one of the best teams in the region right now, and it's got to be pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it definitely has to, because even if you ignore all history and you just take a look at the matchups on paper, UNSW still have a really big lead.
And typical Oceanic fashion, we load straight into a pause, which is pretty standard, like I said. However, it is the first pause, at the start of the game for us, so that's pretty happy. So both teams, they've gone through a few games so far. This is their fourth match of the day, and teams are going to feel a little bit more confident if they've got some good stats coming into this. UNSW especially, 3-0, they're almost guaranteed to move on to the next stage, especially if they keep up with how they've been going so far. And what that means is, they could go for some riskier plays earlier on. They could go for a 5-man level 1 invade and look for some kind of cheese kill.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not really a burden on their shoulders they're carrying. They're coming into this pretty lightly. Of course, everybody would love to win, but right now I think they're in a prime position to really try out some pocket strategies that they've maybe been developing in the back burners, and it's just going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys play.
Yep, and the pause is still coming out. According to the chat, there's no reason for it. But the pause does finally finish, as I believe it's just to make sure everyone's loaded into the game at the same time. And now we might see the risky strategy come out from UNSW, but maybe perhaps not. Maybe they'll still go for that safe play, make sure they can lock in that #1 seed for their group, just to, have a better chance once they move into the quarterfinals. However, you can see pings on a single point on the map, but they are spreading out, so I feel like they're going for a safer play. Adelaide Alpha, though, they're looking for something funnier.
Yeah, UNSW actually predict this 5-man roam by moving a few people in. They will be spotted out. Huey takes a little bit of damage, but he's just going to sort of waddle out of here into safety, whereas Adelaide Alpha come out on top when it comes to getting some vision down.
However, moving as a 5-man group, yes, you're going to control the vision in that area, because no one's going to contest the 5-man group. But what it does is it says, hey, look, we're all over here. You can go into the other parts of our jungle. We don't mind. But that's exactly what UNSW have done. They've got in there. They've got 3 entire wards actually down there, which is going to show any kind of strategy, any kind of lane swaps that may come out. So they've definitely got the vision game completely won in terms of where they've gone. However, nothing on the blue side has been warded by UNSW, but they've got the entrances to their own jungle, so they're completely safe in all of those terms.
Yeah, absolutely. So Adelaide Alpha have got some really deep wards, whereas UNSW just really want to scout out the jungling pattern that's going to happen. They don't really want to get ganked in the bottom lane. They don't really want a lane swap to happen, but that is what's going to happen to the detriment of UNSW. They really wanted to 2v2 because that was a pretty strong lane. Meanwhile, here we have a bit of a fight.
Yeah, this is actually Toasty's in a lot of trouble, failing, actually doesn't even have a flash, and it is going to be First Blood going straight over to Pinocchio's. That's how I'm going to pronounce that name.
Pinocchio's. Yeah, that was really well read by Adelaide Alpha. They know that Hecarim traditionally doesn't take flash, and Hecarim was just in such a bad position over there, so they took the kill. And they also took the red while they were at it.
Yeah, but at the same time, UNSW read that well enough to know that they were safe to go and take the enemy red buff. So it's going to be just some buff trading going on. But like you said, there was a lane swap that did occur, and the fact that Toasty's, he's getting killed that early on, it's going to be harder for him to move into the jungle, take some early gold, jungle along with Huey, and then eventually make his way back up to the top lane, where he's still going to be in a 2v1 setup right now. So this could be very dangerous for him to make his way back up to the top lane.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard for him to recover because, as you can see, his impact in the jungle right now is so bad. Legion actually managed to get a full camp worth of experience by himself, so Toasties is going to take ages to just level up, let alone get items back. That's not even going to get him to level 2, so yeah, I'm really worried for him in terms of scaling into this game.
Luckily, if you have a look on the map, you can see that Shoulder Raven's heading down to the bottom lane. He's also level 1, so Same sort of thing there. Not using his teleport though, so holding on to that. But what it also means is that Toasties knows that he's safe from the 4-man gank. That's not going to stop the 3-man gank, as you can see already. Saw Zulan is hanging out nearby, and he may be coming in looking for a second blood onto Toasties. And it looks like they've got this nice and easy as Illyri tanks up the tower and another kill onto Toasties.
Very well micromanaged by Illyri. Pinocchis actually took 2 turret hits before trying to harass Toasties under the turret, so they had a little bit less room than they would have liked to work around, but they still managed to do it nonetheless.
So just updated by the broadcast team, these teams have actually played each other before. So Adelaide Alpha, they didn't actually lose to Myash Team B like I thought. Actually lost to these guys right here, so this is actually going to be the second game in a row where they're facing off against each other. Of course, we didn't quite get to see the exact way the game went, but we do know that it was a UNSW victory, so it's going to be Adelaide Alpha looking to maybe reclaim a victory here. And as you can see, 4.5 minutes in, they're almost 2,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane. They definitely took the grudge match, and they're just not relenting here. They're taking everything on the map. Meanwhile, on bottom side, they are giving up the dragon.
And that's quite a common thing to happen. In fact, actually, Shoulder Raven stunned up by the concussive blows. Does have his flash available if he gets into trouble. However, the distraction he's provided against UNSW made him take a lot of damage from that dragon. But it's not giving them enough time for his team to arrive down. In fact, dropping even lower, he needs to get out of there. Does have flash if he gets into trouble though.
Yeah, that dragon does manage to go over, but look, early on it shouldn't matter too much. So long as Adelaide Alpha eventually do get that first dragon, which we didn't see in that last game, between, who was it last game? My memory's going absolutely fuzzy, but yeah, just if you don't pick up that first dragon, early on it doesn't really matter, but later on, when the core items are being built, when your main AP and AD items are being built, it really is going to detriment you not having that 6% extra.
See Saw Zulan looking to get a little bit of pressure into the enemy jungle, but unfortunately he's a level behind, can't really contest Huey. As we said in Champion Select, Rek'Sai is a champion that just does so much damage earlier on, can duel against anyone, and if he gets into trouble, Huey can just tunnel out to safety, so not really much that Saw Zulan can actually get done there. So now we can see, it's still a 2,000 gold advantage to Adelaide Alpha, so they've got the early advantage. They need to start closing things out as soon as they can, because the dragon advantage over towards UNSW, as Huey actually takes quite a lot of damage, has to flash away from that barrel. But bringing you back to, the single point is, they need to start getting more and more advantages early on before that one dragon stack actually means anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, there is a lot of really well orchestrated, a little bit of turret damage going on to Nadiko, but there is a lot of well orchestrated rotations going on to come here, because they actually get quite a bit of damage on the turret. Not too much because the ADCs are locked up in bot lane, but still, just getting that damage down means that you have to do less damage later.
Toasty is still at a bit of a disadvantage in the top lane, and without a tower, he's got nowhere safe to go. Shoulder Raven looking to pick up the kill. Only one more ability should get him the kill. Flashes in, doesn't connect to the Arcane Smash. Now he's going to be on the retreat from Huey. Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't connect onto Toasties, but Illyri comes in to finish off the kill. Shoulder Raven, though, should go down. The exhaust catching Huey Desu, but one more gap close, one more tunnel should get him the kill here. Shoulder Raven still looking pretty low. The shield comes out. Huey's changed his mind. He wants to get onto Illyri. Shoulder Raven trying to get out of here. There's the tunnel that we were looking for earlier on. And we can see JRDB is looking to come up and maybe participate in this, as well as Slave of Lord. Shoulder Raven still quite low. One more tunnel should connect the kill, but he's going to get underneath his turret. The flash comes out. There's the wall, the Glacial Storm, and the Flash Frost to pick up the kill in the end. But is it over yet? No, not quite, as Nadiko takes a gust of blows to the face, but I think that's going to be it for now.
Yep, that disengage coming out, trying to get a bit of a revenge kill. You get your gold where you can, and that was a really nice play by JRDB. Just knowing the absolute limits of her champion, moving in. Shoulder Raven didn't have a flash, couldn't get around that wall in time, and just fell.
However, it was the flash actually being used by JRDB, so it's going to be a little bit vulnerable in that middle lane, especially if we see Adelaide Alpha look to pressure the mid lane turret once again. Yes, we said Inivi is a champion that can safely keep the waves clear, keep the turrets completely safe, but with a few champions that are able to pick people out of position, especially, you know, an explosive cast comes your way and you've got no flash to get the safety, even with an ink, you should be dead there. They are looking to siege down this turret just a little bit more.
Oh, Shoulder Raven getting stunned up, but not a lot of follow-up damage coming through right now. Because JRDB managed to get here in time, it's just not going to be too much of power pressure in mid lane. Just seeing a few bouncing bombs fly here and there, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue as Zorlin picks up his second red.
And it'll be pretty important once they take down this mid lane turret, if they can manage to do it before the next dragon comes up. It'll give them that much more pressure to move in, get wards around the enemy jungle really, really safely. So that's why they're putting so much pressure here right now. They had 4 members in the mid lane, and it looks like they may be keeping that number up. And you can already see just around the river, they're already looking to try and control the vision with that pink ward, deny vision from UNSW. So Adelaide Alpha really putting up a big fight and maybe even looking to contest the next dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. It really should contest the next dragon because gold's in their favor, positioning is in their favor. All they need is a couple of really well-placed wards, and then they'll just know when everybody's coming in from that side. In mid lane, like I said, nothing much is really gonna happen. That turret's on about a quarter health, so they're just gonna continuously siege this for the next minute or so until dragon comes up. If they manage to open it, then that means that the entire top jungle side of red side, UNSW, will be open up to Adelaide Alpha.
An important thing to notice as well, you know, in 30 seconds, Toasties is not going to have his teleport up in time. Whereas Shoulder Raven, he's got his, but he's hanging around that side of the map anyway. So the dragon control is definitely in favor of Adelaide Alpha right now. You know, they've got 4 people pretty much right outside the pit 10 seconds before it's spawning. They've taken down the bottom lane turret. They've just got the positional advantage, and they're looking to get the vision advantage as well, especially if they can get that scuttle crab. If that happens, then if I was UNSW, I wouldn't even look at contesting this.
Absolutely. Adelaide Alpha are just playing this so clinically. They know exactly when to rotate, where to rotate. They take the turrets when nobody's in those lanes, and then they just get advantage of that. Like this dragon, which we see right now. There's a little bit of contest, but I have a feeling it's going to go over to Adelaide Alpha, which does.
And they do pick it up as a team fight breaks out. Brown dropping pretty low with Lucian just over the wall. Brown does eventually go down. And Ziggy's been zoned out of the fight, but Mega Inferno Bomb still available. Janna trying to reset the fight, heal everyone up. The egg does eventually go down. Stealthix, he's dashed over the wall, but into a team of enemies. And Adelaide Alpha pick up a 4-0.
Wow, that was the first major fight of this game that we see, and we do see it go over to Adelaide Alpha. They can only secure this lead from there on in. In Picks and Bans, I was talking about how Siva was going to be low impact, but that was really going to be later on. We're talking about absolute late game. Right now, they're playing to their advantages. They got all of their base damages right now, and they say, you know what, we're only going to really get tankier or more mobile after this, so we really got to push it, and they absolutely do.
UNSW in a bit of trouble here. They are 4,000 gold behind, and it's only 12.5 minutes. And in Champions Select, I was talking about how they were going to have the mid-game power spike, but things have just been turned completely upside down by that lane swap. The few catches onto Toasties earlier on really, really solidified a massive lead for Adelaide Alpha right now. And with Dragon nowhere near in sight, it's going to be hard for UNSW to maybe force a positional advantage fight, because Adelaide Alpha simply don't need to. They just need to sit back, keep winning their lanes, keep picking up kills here and there, and they'll just stay in the lead, and that's all they need to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Smart. As we take a look at the effects of Pick and Ban, Adelaide Alpha was sort of like, you know what? You can pick your Hecarim. We don't really care, because we'll just keep on camping him like they're doing right now.
And it's a 3 against 1, and Huey does arrive, but not in time to save Toasties. At the same time, they do finally pick up a kill onto Pinocchio's down on the bottom lane, but both teams looking to dominate at least one side of the map right now, as the duo lane may pick up a tower down on the bottom lane. Illyri takes a bit of damage, but that should be it for now.
Yep, that belly flop not really hitting, and that's just not going to be much. Ziggs clearing out the bottom lane, very nice use of his ultimate. That's going to save the turret at least for another wave and a bit. Yeah, so as I was saying before, Hecarim has one of the strongest carry potentials from top lane, but Adelaide Alpha didn't really care about that. Oh, a nice welcome out.
Still going in as Huey's forced to flash out. Onslaught of Shadows comes onto Shoulder Raven. He's dropped pretty low, but he's still sticking around. Nekoke is firing bomb after bomb. They do eventually take down Shoulder Raven, but JRDB put himself in a pretty bad position to do so, and he is going to die to the auto attack from Illyri. His turret's under a lot of pressure here. Slave of Law doing as much blocking as he can, but here comes Toasties. He's already used his ultimate, so can't provide too much to the team fight. Huey jumping in fact, a bit of miscommunication by the team there. Toasties may eventually catch Nadeko there. They do stun him up, but Slave of Law just gets burst down. And now, once again, it's going to be the advantage over to Adelaide Alpha. That Gragas is completely out of mana, but they have just the numbers advantage up here. In fact, they're just going to take him out underneath the tower, and the tower is going to be next.
Wow, that, like I said before, like the name of this game is definitely clinical. Adelaide Alpha are completely relentless. They know all of their strengths. They know this whole team matchup, I'm willing to say, not just individual matchups, and they know exactly how to take advantage of that.
And one of the best items that you can pick up when you're in the lead has got to be Righteous Glory, because it gives your team the advantage to just collapse on fights that are absolutely on your favor, pick out a few kills, or just go in for full-on 5v5s when you know you've got the gold advantage and able to win team fights. And you combine that with On the Hunt coming out from Sivir, and it just basically means everything is in the control of Adelaide Alpha right now, and UNSW are simply reacting to all the plays coming out from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sivir's got one of the lowest ranges as ADC, but why does that matter when you got On the Hunt and you've also got Righteous Glory with a Talisman of Ascension that just got finished? I want to actually touch on the top lane matchup right now. If you take a look at the CS differential, Shoulder Raven is not even on 40, whereas Toasties just hit 90 CS. However, if you take a look at the gold distribution, Shoulder Raven is actually ahead by about 500 gold. That's absolutely insane, and if there's anything that you need to scale as a carry, like Hecarim is, it's gold, and he's just down, despite the fact that he's got double the farm.
And the fact is, you know, he's going for that Triforce build. Actually, Slave of Lord in a bit of trouble, does throw out the ultimate, but where are you really going to go from here, buddy? Do have Flash, does manage to get over the wall, but straight into the face of Shoulder Raven. Is going to try and stun him up, but his team is just too far to actually keep him in safety. And eventually, he does get caught out. Janna comes in with the Flash Monsoon to secure the kill onto Brown. That's going to be another pickup for Adelaide Alpha.
Wow, just collapsing all the way around. These guys have got amazing communication in this game. They know exactly how far to go, and it looks like they're just going to take down another turret, maybe even two in the mid lane.
And they're actually going for the engage once again. Stealthic's in a lot of trouble as there is a tower, the top lane taken down. The egg is popped for JRDB. Can he drop him down in time before the Ignite takes him out? 1, 2, 3, and he's dead. Can't quite get the kill. And Anivia does walk away with only the passive being wasted as Adelaide Alpha, they take one more tower in the bottom lane. Just before Dragon spawns.
Those minions weren't doing their job right as JRDB lives on a sliver of health, one auto attack off, but does revive, does manage to get a skill set around and actually takes down Deco.
Well, this Dragon is being contested here. The Onslaught of Shadows is available for Toasties, but Shoulder Raven is just being a brick wall, not letting anyone through. And second Dragon goes over to Adelaide Alpha, who are still so far ahead, nearing that 10,000 gold lead, actually.
Yeah, and that is just so insane. If we see a 10,000 gold lead by 20 minutes, it's, judging from the past, it's pretty safe to call a game. I mean, like there are still some things you can do. There's a lot of lockup. If Toasties manages to get into the backline, he can still do quite a bit of damage, although he just needs to get that Triforce completed. He is so far behind on his build right now, though, so I am a bit worried for that.
I mean, like I said a few minutes ago, UNSW are just reacting to everything that Adelaide Alpha are doing. They don't really have any control over this game right now, and that's understandable because they're so far behind in gold. They can't go for any kind of fights, let alone, you know, even fights. Even 3v2s are pretty dangerous just because Adelaide Alpha are tanky enough. Well, they go for the Righteous Glory engage, but Shoulder Raven does eventually back off. They can't quite catch them in time. But long story short, it's got to be it's UNSW reacting to what Adelaide Alpha do.
And this may look a bit audacious, sieging an inhib turret so early on without anybody really down, especially with JRDB to clear the waves. But what this actually causes, if not a turret being taken down, is potentially Baron, because Baron is coming up in less than a minute. Adelaide Alpha might have their eyes on that by sieging mid lane, by setting it up.
They are pretty far ahead as the fight does break out. Toasi's onslaught of shadows just deletes Janna. Yui's right in the middle of the fight, but he's not tanky enough. Slave of Lord also gets taken down. Stealthix and Anivia trying to get out to safety. But with the constant threat coming up from the bombs of Ziggs, the barrels of Gragas, they could be in a bit of trouble here. Toasty's looking to pick up a kill on Saw Zulan, but he's got the backup he needs to keep alive. And this turret is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. They discernibly won that, despite the fact that it was a 2-for-1, because they took that turret down. They're too low to take Baron, but at the very least, they've got an open inhib. That means that at any point, if they want a sneaky backdoor, if they just want to hard push it, then they'll be able to take down an inhib with their lead that they've got right now. A lot of map pressure with that.
I'd like to see them go for the inhibitor next, right? Because they can get up there. They've already had the advantage, even against a team underneath their tower. They may actually be going in for a fight here right now. JRDB just gets deleted. Slave of Law trying to block up for the rest of his team as Saw Zulan drops pretty low. Can't quite connect the fourth concussive blows onto him. But the teleport comes out from Shoulder Raven. He goes straight onto Toasties and is locking him up long enough for his team to get there. The movement speed, though, should keep Toasty safe. But he's too scared to even go into his base right now. This inhibitor is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this inhib is going down. There's nothing that UNSW can do about this, and it's going to shove a lot of really strong minions down mid lane, a lot of super minions, and that's going to open up a really sort of easy Baron, either bait or just take for Adelaide Alpha.
Yeah, I mean, the worst strategy that they could go for, you know, the most conservative one, I guess, would be to sit by Baron and basically dance around it. Threaten that you're going to take it, and it puts a time limit on what UNSW can do, because of course they're going to have super minions walking down their base. Yes, they can leave Huey nearby, Huey to stop the super minions just because he's got his ultimate. Saw Zulan should be fine here. The fat man can just get right over the wall. But basically, Adelaide Alpha, they've just got to sit near Baron and say to UNSW, come at us, bro, because they're going to have to eventually be the ones to engage, and because they've got so much poke coming out from Ziggs and Sivir, it's going to shorten their time limit even more and force them to engage, and that's going to be when UNSW will make a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. If you take a look in the backpacks of Adelaide Alpha, they've got 4 pink wards between them all, and these are on different champions, so they can all put them down simultaneously. It really will be up to them to clear the vision of around Baron.
Interestingly, though, you see.
And
okay. So I saw Twitch chat. They were getting mad at me saying Sivir's name wrong. So Pinox. Is that how we say it? Anyway, Pinox. He's down on the bottom lane. Not anywhere near Baron, so it's an interesting strategy, and you know, shows that Adelaide Alpha, they're not going for Baron just yet, and maybe trying to put threats in different parts of the map.
No, absolutely not. That is still there.
So Shadow Warrior, I might have to cut you off there. You're coming up quite a bit, so I'm just going to take over.
Around the map. They don't have to take Baron just yet. It would be in their best interest to keep their eyes on it.
Alright, and I think we're all back to even right now, as we see Gragas go straight in as JRDB is dropped incredibly low. Is forced into the egg form as Slave of War trying to get into the backline, but does eventually jump back to protect his backline buddies. and Illyri forced a little bit too far forward. No one has died yet, but ultimates have been used across the board. And that's actually an alright fight so far for UNSW. As we see Adelaide Alpha, they're looking to pressure this turret a little bit more, but they underestimated the home guard and the healing from the fountain, keeping UNSW able to come back and go for a fight. So Adelaide Alpha in a bit of trouble here. Well, as much trouble as they can be. They do need to recall, get a bit of health back, and maybe come back in and try that fight again. Dragon is up, so they could move and, well, they will move in, take the third buff. Shoulder Raven in a bit of trouble here, but I think he's tanky enough to get out of here. Doesn't have any teammates available. Actually, the concussive blows is going to be enough to lock him up, and they do take him down. Now, this is going to be a bit of an advantage here for UNSW. Are they going to take anything from it, though? And I believe Shadow Warrior, Alacaster, is... are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just wondering how good my connection is.
Alright, you sound fine now, so continue on. What do you think about the game state so far?
The game state so far... well, you know, UNSW came back a little bit over there, but it still is massively in favor of Adelaide Alpha.
Yeah, and that's not going to change anytime soon. In fact, from this point, UNSW need to win 2-3 very good team fights to really be back in the game. And that's going to be incredibly hard to do. They've, as we could see, you know, a fight underneath their own turret, and they were still just managing to barely scrape by with an even fight. They did manage to pick up Shoulder Raven straight afterwards, but that's not quite, you know, part of the fight. So I feel like team fights are still going to go the same way, but Adelaide Alpha, they're going to be a little bit more careful. You know, the gold lead that they've got, making them play a little bit risky, but they've definitely learned. But they could be going in for an engage here.
Oh, they could be indeed, but with their lead right now, they should be playing quite conservatively, because you know, there's not too much that that UNSW can do. They can't really siege backwards. Oh, looks like they're going to start the Baron right now, actually.
And that's the right choice. You know, they've left Ziggs in the pathway so that he can spot anything out, can throw down the zoning bombs, the minefield, to just slow their ascent onto Baron. And, you know, it looks like there's just going to be zero contest. Slave of Lord looking to come in and contest it a little bit, but actually Nadoku could be caught out here, and he's going to at least be dropped pretty low out of the fight. The Baron is picked up. The Onslaught of Shadow straight onto Nadoku takes him out of the fight, and it still continues. Shoulder Raven taking up 3 members of UNSW. Now it's going to be 5 as Janet knocks everyone back into him, and Adelaide Alpha need to go on the retreat here. They pick up the Baron, but lose a 2 for nothing.
Well, wow, yeah. I'm not too certain who deservedly won that fight, because Adelaide did manage to pick up the Baron, but now they actually lost 2 members and a turret, or maybe even 2 here. This is the respawn fight.
And it's going to be pretty easy for them to siege down this turret here. Gragas is trying to defend it as best as he can. In fact, it might actually be enough, as Pinox, apparently Twitch chat said I got it right, so claps for me. But Pinox arrives, has the wave clear to keep that turret safe. And Adelaide Alpha, like I said before, they're not out of this by a long shot. In fact, UNSW, as I said before, need to win several team fights in a row. You know, that's just one step on the way to doing that.
Yeah, it's the step in the right direction, but it's not the only step. Right now, what's absolutely important would have to be vision control. You really don't want to get from either side, or else that's going to be devastating for every pilot. It would be up to both sides to ward and also to sweep.
Alright, so Adelaide Alpha, they've got a pretty clear option. There's an open inhibitor in the middle lane. No worrying too much about sieging that down, as they can pretty much walk in and force a team fight. However, we've seen, you know, in the last few team fights, things haven't gone so well for them. Oh no, that pathway completely blocked off for Nadoku. Brilliant wall, and OCC is just going to jump straight on that. They take out the Ziggs straight away from the team fight. This could be UNSW's path to glory, as they are coming back in, and Pinox is completely cut off from this fight. In fact, positional advantage is way in the favor of UNSW here.
Yeah, absolutely. UNSW just managed wrapped them around. They lost their main source of wave clear. They still got Sivir, which is an amazing form of wave clear, but actually, so he's getting caught out there, having to burn a flash. That's going to be absolutely essential if they choose to engage in the near future. Definitely going to yeah.
So UNSW actually saw Zulan go straight in there. Does get dropped pretty low. It is a 4v5, I believe, for Adelaide Alpha, and it's really showing in the team fight. Toasties is getting right into the back line. He's trying to take down Saw Zulan. Pinox has not been jumped on. No, just kidding. There's JRDB. Takes him straight out of the fight. Shoulder Raven taking up what he can. Stealthix has the damage to take him down, or does he? Yes, he does with the red buff. A triple kill over to Stealthix, and things have pretty much evened up now.
Wow. That is a huge turnaround from UNSW, and I don't want to dick things, I don't want to take things out of context by saying that that they've definitely come back, but man, we laid out like the road that they need to take in order to get a victory, and so far they're following.
Adelaide Alpha, you know, they've got to be a bit scared right now as they've had the lead for so long, and there's nothing worse than throwing a game where you have such a massive lead. In fact, at one point I believe there were 12,000 gold ahead, and now that's been shortened to just 3,000. The Baron buff's about to run out, Dragon's going to spawn, and with the history of the last few team fights, Adelaide Alpha, it's not going to be a guaranteed Dragon for them anymore. So as long as UNSW can get down there, they can absolutely contest it, and they can absolutely try and even up everything across the board, starting with the Dragons.
No, you're absolutely right, Smite, and as we were talking about in Champ Select, there's not a lot of damage when it comes to team fights coming out from Adelaide Alpha. The only advantage that they had early was the fact that UNSW didn't have much damage. They were late game scaling. So now the tables are quite turned in the sort of, you know, scaling set, and they actually decide to hard engage. But what a wall.
Wow, Pinox just completely blocked off from the rest of his team, is taken out straight away. However, JRDB also goes down, but Toasties has jumped straight onto the back line once again, looking for the Doku, but he's making it a very hard kill. And Shoulder Raven taking up the rest of the team for as long as he can, but does eventually go down. And Toasties not able to find the Doku. Going to be devastating for him. But can he get out alive? He can indeed. And so Zulan has to back off. In fact, Adelaide Alpha as a whole, currently 2 for 1, but still looking to change everything here. It's Brown looking to move in for a kill. However, has been found in a 3v1 situation. He's got Huey to back him up. That should be enough for it to end the fight.
Surely this should be a disengage, and yes. So, wow, what a wall coming out from JRDB, completely separating Pinox from the rest of Adelaide Alpha, as he was just on the other side, really being the only person in there, and he was just frozen in place with no pun intended in that one.
So once again, you know, it's the same story. Despite getting the Dragon, they've now moved up to 4 Dragon stacks. UNSW, however, they're still looking good in these team fights. They've really narrowed down that goal. They're still pretty far behind in map presence in terms of towers. They're still far behind in Dragons. They need to look at getting their ward coverage just a little bit more around the Baron area, as it's just over a minute until that comes back up, and if there's ever going to be a comeback for UNSW right now, it's going to be around that Baron. Adelaide Alpha may get a little bit too cocky, may go for the Baron, or in fact, it just may be a team fight victory near the Baron that UNSW will be able to take it and then push that into the victory.
Yeah, but in order for that to happen, they need just a little bit more gold. So if we take a look at the items being built right now, JRDB on Anivia doesn't actually have a Rabadon's just yet, so that's really going to stifle her damage output until she gets one.
Yeah, and that's surely, it's still a little while away, so probably not going to be available for this Baron, unfortunately. However, the main strength for JRDB so far in these team fights has been his absolutely 100% on-point walls, especially that last one that just completely locked out Pinox from the rest of his team. If he just keeps getting those out, it's just getting picks for his team, which allows him to win the team fights. And so, Adelaide Alpha, their squishies especially, Pinox and Nadoku, have to be incredibly careful on whenever they step out of line, because JRDB, as we've seen so far, has been so on point with that he can actually catch out team members to cause his team to win the next team fight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And just taking a look at the team composition that came out from Adelaide.
Oh, hang on,
They
Saw
sort of
Zulan in a
thought
bit
that
of trouble here,
for
tanking up as
Zulan
much
this
as he
one.
can, but it's going to be a 5v1 anyway. Janna trying to reset the fight, and it might just be enough. However, Toasties has found Pinokes. Gragas does eventually go down. Can Pinokes kite the party pony enough as the rest of his team is going in and trying to take down the Adelaide Alpha? Eventually, Pinokes is taken down. Shoulder Raven does manage to force an egg out of Anivia, but he's not going to survive the rest of the fight as Adelaide Alpha are finally behind in kills right now. And Slave of Lord looking for a kill onto Nadoku, and the rest of his team is arriving to secure that kill. And that should be an ace for UNSW right here.
Surely it should be, and it is an ace.
This should
So
be
that was-
UNSW moving towards the Baron. And do you think with the Baron that's going to be enough for them to put out anything else? Or are they even going to go for the
they're
Baron?
actually
Wow.
choosing to ignore it. Yeah, they're just such huge death time, especially on Nadiko, who is their main wave clearer. Obviously, you still got Pinokes, but that's not quite going to be enough because all they need is one wave to push down a turret. They're actually going to back off and not take a second turret on that. But as we were talking about earlier, Illyri, you picked the Janna because you thought that you wanted to disengage a lot for your team when you got hard dive. You can't really disengage when JRDB is putting out those amazingly placed walls because they just completely lock you out. What are you going to do? Like, your Janna ultimate, your monster, is going to be on the right edge of your carry, so you're not going to push anybody away.
Here comes a bit of a desperation play here by Adelaide Alpha. They've gone for a Baron when they thought they had enough time to take it, but the global presence coming up from Huey allowed them to get there in time, check out what's going on, and Adelaide Alpha have been forced to back off. Dragon's also coming up in a minute too, and if we see UNSW able to pick it up, it's importantly going to deny the 5th Dragon stack from Adelaide Alpha, and that should be enough to at least keep the game away from them losing. So it's going to be important that they look for that Dragon, but they may just be looking for tower presence here. They are backing off. They know they don't have the siege power to contest against the wave clear from both a Ziggs and a Sivir.
No, they absolutely don't, and they think that maybe they need minions on their side to be absolutely stronger in order to take that down, so they do move towards the Baron.
Hanging out, they have got vision control completely. Saw Zulan, he's a bit tanky to just try and pick out straight at the start of the fight, but the Glacial Fisher coming up from Brown has been excellent. A full culling straight onto the back line of Adelaide Alpha. Toasties, he's in a bit of trouble here, taking a lot of damage, hasn't found anyone on the back line. No one's just died yet. JRDB throwing out the Zonias, keeping alive in the middle of the team for a while. It's going to be a 2-for-1 so far. Shoulder Raven taking up absolutely everyone. In fact, most of the players on UNSW are taken down. The teleport coming up from Toasties, trying to get back into the fight. Is it going to be enough with the home guard? Just destroys Pinokes. And the Deco and Shoulder Raven both in a lot of trouble. Hecarim, the lone member of UNSW so far, are they able to kite him around for a while? His gap closer is on cooldown, but they have the damage to maybe take him down. Shoulder Raven drops lower and lower, but it's going to be an ace for UNSW. Sorry, for Adelaide Alpha.
Yeah, Adelaide Alpha just managed to kite that little bit at the end to take down Toasties, but man, what a TP from Toasties, because he knew he had the home guns. He knew that even though it was going to expire as soon as he hit somebody, the first hit that he did was going to be absolutely explosive, and it was. It completely took down Pinokes, but unfortunately the kiting was too strong, and he got taken down for what is a dragon right now.
I feel like
This is going to be Drag 5, by the way.
Yeah, Dragon 5, the Deco doesn't quite make it over the wall. But Dragon 5 is going to be pretty important. But a little bit about that team fight, I feel like the reason that Adelaide Alpha were able to pull out on top of that was simply because Toastie's Onslaught of Shadows wasn't as impactful as it could have been. He wasn't able to get to the backline, and Pinokes and the Deco were able to sit back nice and safely and able to get a lot of damage down. With the teleport back in, it evened things up slightly, but it was still a 1-for-1 trade after that teleport, so not quite the victory he was looking for. However, now we're in the present where Adelaide Alpha, they've got 5 dragons, and they're looking at contesting this Baron right now. In fact, maybe just straight out starting it. This is going to be completely on UNSW's contest.
Yeah, there are no wards nearby. As far as they know, like, they just have no idea whether this is a bait or a take, and they managed to take
Yeah, and Adelaide Alpha, Baroned up, Dragoned up. They're ready for a party right now, and they're ready to close out the game, which they should have won about 10 minutes ago. And, you know, all things considered, they can take it out. That's all that's going to matter. Just that one win, that 1 point they need to move on to the next group stage. They just destroy the inhibitor. Now they've got the positional advantage. Do they go for the risky play of going for the Nexus turrets, or do they go for the safe, conservative play, pushing up that bottom lane, going for that bottom lane turret?
They're hesitating and they're standing in between, which doesn't really get them anything. I think eventually they're going to decide to take down the bottom turret right here.
Definitely the right choice right now, because you've got the Baron. You may as well use those siege sub minions. There's the Righteous Glory, bringing everyone to the party here. But look at those minions, even with the Baron buff, they are getting destroyed by Anivia right there. And that's just a wave clear that's going to keep their turrets alive. But all that Adelaide Alpha need to do is pressure this turret, because as soon as super minions start drawing the rest of UNSW away, that's when they can strike. Never mind, there's the explosive cast, does catch out JRDB, throws out the massive shield, but this is still a fight that may not actually happen.
Yeah,
he gets egged by the Mega Inferno Bomb. That is one cooked omelet. And now they're actually going in. They've caught out Toasties here, who has to use his Onslaught of Shadows to get away. JRDB stays alive thanks to his egg, but the inhibitor is soon to follow. And this is right now a 2-for-0 with 3v5. It's going to be impossible for them to keep this Nexus alive. One turret down, the next turret soon to follow, and the Nexus is going to share the same fate as a few more pre-game end kills go out. The Nexus is finally taken down, and Adelaide Alpha finally take out the win.
Wow, and what a win, given that there was a huge hiccup in the middle where for a little while we actually thought that